Hello and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a long time since I made a video. I think few months have passed since I put on a video on React Native. The last video which I put was some basic on the React Native. There are a few things that have happened after that. I have moved to a different city as all the offices have started. So, but I'm back on making videos right now. So videos we are going to create a Twitch clone, the UI part of it. Okay. So we are going to replicate the Twitch app, mobile app using React Native. We're going to replicate the UI of the Twitch. But later on, if you guys want, we can add the data layer of it as well. We can integrate, let's say, Firebase or something. We can add some of our own data and we can create an end-to-end application. But for now, uh, we will be working on creating the UI of the Twitch app. And in today's video, we are going to do the initial setup of this particular application. As you can see right now, there is nothing on the screen apart from the bottom tabs. So we are going to create the project and we're going to add this tab navigation. That's it. And in the upcoming video, we will be covering each of these screens, like the following screen, then discovery, then browse, and then search. Okay. So let's start with the project. So the first thing that we need to do is to create the project itself. So I created this React Native project and I'm using TypeScript as the language. So you need to write the following command to create the project. I have named my project as TwitchClone. You can name it anything you want. Once you have done that, there are few dependencies that we are going to add that is required. So the dependencies that I have added are these: React Navigation Material bottom tabs, and React Native vector icons. All these code and all these files are there in my GitHub. I will be providing the link in the description. You can go and check that out. But these are the commands that you need to write to install this packages inside your project. So once you've added these projects, once you have added all these packages, the next thing that we need to do is to clear out the app.tsx file, which is the entry point of your application. So for as of now, what we have done so far is we have created the project, we have added the required dependencies as of now into our project. And after that, we need to use that particular dependency that we have added. The dependency that we have added is for basically creating this bottom navigation tabs. So let's go to the app.tsx file. So for you, it might be, for you, it will be having a lot of default stuff that is present when you create an application. So what you need to do here is you need to remove all the components that is getting returned, and you need to add this. This is a component that we are going to create right now, which is called main container, which is basically this entire thing that you are seeing on the screen right now. All the navigation and everything will be present inside this container, which we are naming it as main container. So once we have removed the default stuff and once you've added this, the next thing that we need to do is to actually create this particular component, which is called main container. So create a file called main container.tsx, which I have already created. And here what we need to do is we need to add the bottom navigation that you can see on the screen right now. So for doing that, what I have done is I have assigned some names to some variables, which is basically following screen, discover screen, browse screen, and search screen, which corresponds to the different screens on the, or you can see the different tabs on the navigation, the bottom navigation, which is following, discover, browse, and search. As we need to add these names again and again, so it is a good practice to assign some string values to variables and then use it instead of directly using the strings. Okay. Once you have done this, once you've added these names, we need to call create material bottom tab navigator, which will give you back the tab component. So we need to use this to create the navigator and the screens. Okay. And in the actual component, And the actual component which we will be exporting, which is called main container, we need to return navigation container. Okay, as you can see, this is the structure. So there's a navigation container which is provided by React Native itself, as you can see. Then there is something called tab.navigator, which is provided to us by this particular function. So we need to wrap the entire thing around navigation container, and then we need to add the tab navigator. The tab navigator will have different screens inside it. So in our case, there are like four screens: following, discover, browse, and search. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to add some properties to it. So there is something called active color, there's something called inactive color, shifting, initial route name, and bar style. So this navigator takes in these five properties. So the first is called active color, which is basically the color that you can see on the screen right now for the following tab, which is appearing as a shade of purple. So what it basically means that whatever color you assign to this particular prop, these tabs will take that particular color when it is in the active state. So whatever tab you click, it will take the color of this active color. And all the tabs which is in the inactive state will take the color of the inactive color. So what I have done is I have created this particular colors const, and I provided all the different colors that I have used or that we will be using for now in this particular file. Okay. And then we are using these colors at different places. So for the active color, I am adding this brand light, and for inactive color, I'm adding this text color, which is basically a shade of white. So what shifting does is that by default, if you don't provide shifting, what it happens is that there will be icons that will be displayed by default. And once you tap on the icon, once in the active state, only then the name will appear. Okay, so only so for what happens is only these four icons will appear, and once you click on, let's say, following, the icon as well as the text will appear. But in our case, we don't want to do so. We want to show all the text and icon together. Okay, that is why I have given the value as false for this particular property. And for the initial route name is the initial route that we want to open up. So the first route that opens up when you open the application has to be provided over here. And then the bar style, whatever style you want to give to the bar, you need to add it. So I've added the background color to it, which is some shade of black. And then finally, we need to add the four screens inside it. So before adding these four screens, what we have to do is we have to create four different components or four different screens, because we need to link the different screens to different tab dot screens. What I mean by that is each of these tab dot screen will is referring to the screens that appear for this particular tab. So following, once you click on following, the following screen will appear. Once you click on discover, the discover screen will appear. Once you click on browse, the browse screen will appear, and so on and so forth. Let's first of all create these screens. So I have created a folder called screens, and I have created four different files inside it. As you can see, browse, discover, following, search. So what I've done in each of these files for now is I have added this dummy text, like browse. For discover, it's discover. For following, it's following. For search, it's search. And that's it. Four different files, and we're just returning a small text. That's it. So once you created these four files with this basic text that is getting returned, we will come back to the main container and we will be creating the tab dot screen. We will be adding the tab screens. So you can see the first tab screen, we're adding the data required for this particular tab, which is the following tab. So I'm giving the name as the following screen. And then the second property is options, which take in few properties of its own, which is basically the tab bar style. I mean the tab bar label and the tab bar icon. So the label is referring to this particular text that you can see on the screen, following, and the tab bar icon is the icon that appears. So it gives you a color, which basically is the current state's color. So let's say if the tab is in the active state, this color will be referring to the active color. If it is in the inactive state, it will be referencing to the inactive color. And then we are returning the icon. So for the icon, I'm using the material community icon provided by React Native Vector Icons, and I'm using the heart icon with size 20 and the color which is provided by the tab bar icon itself. So what is happening here is I'm giving the name of the screen, I'm providing the label to the tab, I'm adding the icon, I'm providing the color to the icon. That's it. And then finally we have to add the component. So component is the following component that we have just created, this particular following screen which we have created. So I'm adding it as the component. Similarly, for the second screen, we have to add the same thing. We just need to change some values. That is the discovery, that is the name, the label name, and the icon. So in this case, the icon is compass, as you can see. All the other things will remain same. Just the values will be changing here. And for the component, we discover component that we have created. For the third screen, it's browse. So everything related to browse need to be added. Component content copy as the name of the icon and label as browse. And finally, for the fourth screen, we are adding search related values, search screen search. I mean, I have to change it to the capital search, capital S. You can see now it, once I refresh it, will change to capital S, and the icon, which is the magnify icon. And finally, the component. So that's how you can add these, or I would say that's how you can add these screens, as well as you can link it with the bottom navigation. Okay. For now, in this particular video, we will be wrapping up with this, but in the upcoming videos, I will be adding more videos with regard to each of these screens with following discover, browse, and search. We will be covering all these screens in upcoming videos. We will be doing the UI part of it. But if you are interested in, if you want me to, or if you want me to add the data layer also to it to make it as a full-fledged application, please let me know in the chat and I will try to do so. But first, we will be covering the UI aspect of it in the upcoming videos. So thank you for watching the video. If you have stayed till the end, please do like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. If there is any feedback to this particular video, if you want to give some suggestions, please feel free to do so. Once again, thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.